What do your geniuses say about your leadership style, about how you lead, and where are you at your best, and what is it that you bring to the table? And on the opposite side, what are the obstacles and challenges that we may face because of our geniuses and our results and the order that we have? And we're going to focus primarily just on the working geniuses, the top two in our genius order. But we're going to look at my results and just even consider this question as a leader is, hey, what's it like to be on the other side of my leadership? What's it like to be someone on my team? And so we're going to, again, look at my results. I encourage you to get out your results. If you haven't done a Working Genius assessment, go to workinggenius.com. It's $25 US. There's no affiliate. I get nothing from that, but it's a relatively easy, simple 10-minute assessment. Go to that, get your report, and on one of the pages following the initial page is this page that says your unique pairing. So it combines your top two. So it doesn't matter if it's W is first or D is first, but we consider the WD, which is my results, as a contemplative counselor. And the short description there is saying that I'm a thoughtful, insightful, and nuanced advisor, slow to declare certainty, but deep in wisdom, intuition, and rationale. And you'll see on the left, there's a little bit of a longer description. And you want to read that. And what's so helpful in reading this is just being able to qualify, hey, are these results actually accurate of me? And so this is a great way to qualify those results because as we say that this doesn't define you, it's just supposed to be a reflection of who you are, and it needs to resonate. And so there's always room to change and say like, hey, you know what? I don't feel like I'm a WD. I think I'm more of a galvanizer than a discerner. I enjoy that more. And remember, it is a level of enjoyment and satisfaction that you get from doing these activities, not according to what you do on a regular daily basis. So you just got to remember that it's a measurement of your joy, not your competency. Because you could be great at all of them. You could be great at things that are less enjoyable than what you find most enjoyable. And so the thing that I want to highlight here is just this one sentence here that I like to call the shadow side. And it says here for me that because of my proclivity to nuance, that sometimes I can be hesitant to declare certainty or express confidence in their own judgments. This is absolutely 100% true. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this when I talk about the tension within my genius pairing. So second thing that we just want to consider quickly is, are we a responsive or disruptive leader? Or are both of our geniuses fall on the responsive side, or both our geniuses fall on disruptive, or do we have one of each? And for me, I have both responsive. And what does that even mean? Responsive geniuses are really this responding to the need for change. They're observing something in their environment, in their work, and they're responding to this need for change in some way. Disruptive genius is like bringing that change. It's provoking change in the world, in their environment. And 100% both are needed and great. There is no, again, perfect combination for you as a leader. The key is to understand how your default leadership style is in regards to being responsive or disruptive, because that's going to help you to know how you're coming across, or even to consider this question, which we won't get it too far into, but it's like, hey, what does my organization, what does my team actually need in this time? And so I am a double responsive. I have wonder and discernment. Wonder is responding to the environment and seeing and observing that need for change, seeing that there's potential, or maybe I'm seeing that there's red flags or caution flags that we need to consider something and slow down a little bit. That discernment is responding to solutions and saying, hey, we need to tweak something, or hey, that's really great. We need to act on this. And so just to be considering, hey, am I responsive or disruptive? That's going to tell you so much about how your team is going to respond to you and how you even engage with your team. And so the second or the next thing that we want to consider is, hey, what elevation are my geniuses? And this is really helpful when we think about conversations, when we think about meetings, because everybody has a conversational pull. That's what we like to call it in terms of elevation. My conversational pull is going to be at the 30,000 to 20,000 foot level. So when I'm approaching a work conversation, that's just by default, apart from regulating, apart from personal discipline and self-awareness, my instinct is going to be to bring that conversation up and ask maybe that bigger question. Hey, why is this really what we should be doing? Or hey, have you thought about this? It's my discernment piece. I might be picking something apart. And so it's going to be important to know what our conversational pull is, especially when maybe that isn't really what's needed in that conversation. Maybe, and that's an element that we learn in regulating our geniuses and in leading meetings and conversations and saying, hey, this meeting or this conversation is at this elevation. We're really in the last stages. We're at the 10,000, the 5,000 foot level. We're needing to get things done. Needing to blow through obstacles. So for me, on a large scale, on a macro level, for the big idea, I don't maybe necessarily need to question, hey, is this really the right thing when we're trying to land the plane? But it might be important and helpful to ask it on a micro level within the bigger decision, within the bigger conversation. How can I use my W&D that is going to still contribute and not going to slow us down, but maybe in refining and tweaking and seeing potential in the small things as we begin to land the plane? That might be the way that it's most helpful. And so I'm just going to need to be aware of that and my proclivity to those bigger, higher elevation questions. And so I'm going to want to regulate that. So back again to just even considering where's the tension in my pairing as a WD. And so again, just to go back to that, it says that I have this proclivity to nuance and can sometimes be hesitant to declare certainty or express confidence in their own judgments. And so for me, that WD element, if you think of discernment activity, that is where we are refining ideas, and we're also refining it to the point of a decision. That is really important when we're just looking at discernment as the activity of discernment. This is what we're doing. It has to come to a clear-cut decision. That can be really hard for me because I have this wonder side to me that I'm also seeing all kinds of other nuances, all kinds of other opportunities that might impact that decision or lead us down a slightly different decision, or we need to think of something else. And so that is going to be a bit of a challenge. That's going to be the tension I'm going to have to be aware of, especially as a leader, because a leader needs to be able to make decisions. And so I'm going to have to find ways, bring people around me that are going to help me do that. Doesn't mean I can't lead. I just need to be aware of of this tension within that WD. So I do come to a clear decision because that clarity is going to be really helpful for my team in moving forward and actually getting things done. The next thing that we want to consider is, hey, what am I going to be great at? What's going to be challenging? And who maybe would complement me according to my pairing? So really quick, what am I going to be great at? I'm going to be great at providing that advice, being that advisor, and helping us to slow things down in that wonder so that we know and can steer our efforts in the right direction. Wonder is so important and valuable in that part because it helps us not to waste too much energy, maybe going down paths that we shouldn't, maybe going down paths that don't align with our vision, that don't align with our values. And so that's really going to be really helpful. I'm going to provide that discernment element in terms of, hey, this idea isn't quite refined. I'm going to be thinking of those details that are going to make it not just a good idea, but a great idea. Who would complement me? For me, I would say right now an inventor. That's going to help me come to that decision piece by having someone working with me and alongside me in that element of creating a solid solution, steering me and helping me not to get so lost in the nuance, but to actually steer me towards a particular solution that I can actually discern and we can come to that decision. The second might be a galvanizer because that is one of my frustrations. It doesn't come naturally to me, so I am definitely going to want to have someone who is good at galvanizing and loves doing that. It's going to add a lot of value to my leadership and my team. What might I feel guilty about? And so one of the things that we talk about is this element of guilt. And that really just comes from comparing ourselves often to other people. So I might feel guilty because I'm not great at galvanizing, and that leader down the street or that other person on my team, they are great at galvanizing, and I might just I have felt guilty about like, hey, why am I not like so and so? Because they seem to rally the troops and sell that vision, and so I don't have to feel guilty about not being that, but I can celebrate that someone else has that gift. As I said, we can bring that person alongside my leadership or your leadership and celebrate that we need each other's geniuses. Where might I be prone to judge others? Well, maybe in that discernment piece. Maybe if people aren't taking the time to slow down, to ask the hard questions, and really refine something. Instead, they're very prone to activity and moving ahead. I've been on teams where that's happened, and I have judged people. And so it's just understanding, hey, their proclivity maybe is towards implementation, to enablement and tenacity, and wanting to get things done. And so it's just important to recognize, hey, my value that I bring, but also being kind and putting judgment aside and just recognizing, hey, that's that, and slowing us down and saying, hey, you know what? Let's slow ourselves down. Let's refine this, and then let's carry this forward. And so that's going to be really helpful just with team morale when we can eliminate that guilt and that judgment of others on our team. So if you want to consider more of these questions and you want to walk that through with me, or maybe you want to consider doing a team workshop and you want to know what that would look like, I would love to chat with you. Coaching@michaelduick.com is the email to get a hold of me. Let's connect and see what we can do with your team.